We've been going crazy with the requests. I'm liking all the different variety of characters. It's so many to get to, but I didn't want to just keep getting to the same person over and over for the requests. It's a lot of other people that want to get their requests put in too for so many characters. And if you haven't had a chance to really be able to request, and even if you did, you can still request different characters that you want to see movesets for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. So we're just going to be talking about two lovable characters, likable characters, a duo. And these kind of requests are some of my favorites because it's the most challenging because they're duos. Not saying the other ones aren't. Every single request is different and difficult because doing the research, rewatching the show, or getting into the show for the first time, like Robot and Monster, like this one, was a brand new show for me. And seeing all these characters in one, we definitely need to get more characters in this game. And they don't need to jump to Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 3. We don't need to have those characters. Maybe we might see Robot and Monster in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 3. But I don't want to start thinking like that because this game hasn't even been out for a year yet. These characters can get added into this game. They have a great product. We got all types of different characters already. The DLC is not ideal. Outside of Mr. Krabs and Zuko, nothing against Rocksteady and Iroh, but those characters don't really need to be in all-in-one pass. We could have had other characters that's in it, but there's still a lot of fun to play. Iroh is not out yet, so I'm sure he's going to be a lot of fun to play, just like Rocksteady is. So we're going to start getting into the backstory, and just with this request, I was new to the Robot and Monster series. And it's just something that really took me by surprise. This show only had one season. Only one season with 26 episodes, and for doing some research and digging, some of those episodes did not air on Nickelodeon. They were unaired episodes from Robot and Monster. I don't know the full story about it. Maybe somebody out there can tell me what happened with the show. I'm not sure what else happened. I'm sure it's obviously canceled and they're not making any more episodes of it, and it's not going on and on and on anymore. Like some of the shows are continue to have a continuous run. Shows like Rock Paper Scissors have a great success, and I wish Robot and Monster kept going as they did, but it didn't last that long. It was only one season, 26 episodes, which made it even more difficult to put this request together because it was so little to really try to work with and not much to really go off of, because with all these characters that we have, there can be so much more that can get into this game, and it doesn't have to stop here. And that's why I think Robot and Monster is going to be special characters, because this is just another duo. This game doesn't really have many duos. And I know this is impromptu. Someone just said that the servers are down again for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Let's find this out right now. Y'all want to see this? This just sounded about it. Yep, it's true. See, it is true. The servers are down again. So they having so many troubles. We gotta get some patches just made for this game. We gotta get some things fixed. So this is the second time I've seen this, but I just wanted to put it in a video anyway. Thanks for the heads up. I got it on my Discord messages. But anyway, that has nothing to do with the request. But we're gonna get into the backstory and start talking about this show. Seems like the servers are down. That's why I'm not really playing it as often, because I'm waiting for that patch. Because I want to be able to experience some of the things like the new game plus, the exclusive content and new stuff that they have in there. Maybe the patch will come out tomorrow, maybe on Friday. We'll see. Which is today. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe. But let's start talking about this story, the story of Robot and Monster, and get to know these characters in the show. If you haven't seen it, this is a brand new show, and this can expand the roster because they don't have Robot and Monster in this game, and we only have we only have two duos: the Angry Beavers, Daggett and Norbert, and Ren and Stimpy. See that? See this animation. Really awesome characters, classics, two classic characters from the OG days: Angry Beavers, Daggett and Norbert, and then Ren and Stimpy. But we don't have any other duos. Everybody else is a solo character, even though they're brothers. They fight separately in this game. They're separate characters with their own unique techniques and abilities, and their own weapons that can deal damage. But Robot and Monster, they're going to be able to fight together, and you guys will be able to find out how later on in the video. The timestamps are going to be posted once the premiere is over, and then the details with the full movesets. I'm not just talking about the characters. I have my own ideas written out and typed out for you guys to be able to read through. So if you don't want to watch the full video, if you don't want to watch the full premiere, you could just take a look to, if you don't want to watch the full premiere replay, I'll say, because I don't update the description until after the premiere is over, so it doesn't spoil everything right off the bat. And then once the premiere ends, it'll be updated from the description with the tags and things like that. And then the episode examples will also be put there as well with the links and those little small clips that are only a few seconds, where you can be able to see where I got some of the ideas from for certain episodes, and you can go back and watch the episodes if you want to be able to see the full episodes in real time. So let's start talking about the backstory for this show. This show is about two best friends, Robot and Monster. Robot is the serious one, and you can almost think, I'll just say this, you can almost think of Daggett and Norbert, because Daggett is more serious, while Norbert is the one that's more calm when it comes to their personality. So you can make that comparison with these two, and that's what I was thinking about watching the show. So Robot is the serious one of the duo, and Monster is always goofy. They adventure together. They're always testing out new gadgets, the newest inventions, because Robot wants to always invent, and he wants to be the greatest inventor. That's his goal. And while also testing out these gadgets, they're also always watching over their pet, Marv. He's a block of metal with wheels, but he's a really likable character. A lot of people like Marv, and I didn't want to leave him out in this moveset. It's not just about Robot and Monster. It's mainly about them, but I wanted to add in Marv. He says Marv, Marv. That's all he says. He just quick one-liners. But he's a likable character, and people loved him from the show, and I wanted to give him some representation and a little bit of a spotlight. And I also implemented him into their moveset as well, and some other things I did with him to try to make him stand out and have a role as well, because he's part of the duo as well with Robot and Monster. Their mission was to make Robot the world's most famous inventor. Robot also tends to fail at almost every invention that he makes. He could definitely use Jimmy Neutron's help to help him create these inventions. Jimmy Neutron always creates some of the nicest stuff, and that's handy. And Jimmy Neutron, just imagine that crossover. Imagine the reactions with Jimmy Neutron and Robot. The unique interactions. Jimmy Neutron could definitely be able to help, and will be able to possibly potentially assist Robot. And Robot will definitely would love Jimmy Neutron's help, and he could probably help him improve some of his inventions and make it so much better, and might even help him, give him some ideas and pointers. Jimmy Neutron and Robot will have some cool, special, and unique interactions in this game. That's something I would definitely like to see. But going back to what I was talking about for Robot's inventions, they always fail, they'll explode, something always seems to go wrong, and in the process with these inventions that he creates, he gets injured along the way, but it never stops him from inventing and creating. He always wants to keep on creating and inventing some of his machines and some of his devices, or some of his inventions. Now, it's a select two machines that were successful from the show, from what I watched. And you guys will be able to find out later on in the video. Not every invention went wrong, but it was two inventions that actually worked, that he invented. But something did go wrong with them, and it ended up backfiring on them. But they were successful inventions. But that's basically the story for Robot and Monster. They're a duo. They're always together. They adventure together as well, so you'll be able to watch it. And you can watch the show in any order. And that's something I always try to make important, because some of these episodes you have to watch in order. You can watch the episodes in the show in any order that you want. You can watch episode 5. You can go and watch episode 10, or the very first episode. But you definitely want to watch the first episode to see how things start off. But every adventure is different, and some things go down and different things happen in the adventures or during the episodes, depending on what you choose to watch, something else always happens, something different always ends up happening. So it's not really story based like that. But that's the backstory for Robot and Monsters, and how their personalities are, if you want it, just getting to know them. And I definitely recommend watching the show. I haven't seen every single episode, of course, but I definitely am enjoying this show, and I love doing this because I get to see these different episodes and these different shows and new series that I can get to know these new characters that people love and always have been wanting to see in these kind of Nickelodeon crossovers. So that's the backstory. But now it's time for the stages. Let's just back it up into the stages. Just like I always say, we definitely need more stages. No more variants. No more variants. Let's get some all new stages. The stage variants are there for the competitive scenes and things like that. Most people are going to want to play on the flat surfaces because it's not going to be any platforms in a way. It's a straight up brawl. It's a straight up fight to the finish with no distractions, and you can be able to focus on your opponent. These are the stage variants. That's the purpose of the variants themselves, and they make them look different. But the platforms can sometimes get in the way and can favor certain fighters. So these are the variants that are going to be the most favorable because there's nothing in the way. We don't need stage variants. And we definitely don't need a variant for this stage. The Blinking Lights Factory from the inside. This will be a really nice stage, and I think the closest thing that can get closer to the Blinking Lights Factory is this brand new variation that looks actually different. I would say from this one, from Chairman's and Joyride, with the city in the background, they can have that be a stage in the background. So that could be something that they can utilize. Have the city for the Blinking Lights Factory, or maybe they'll have it take place. They can do something like that as an idea. That's something that they can do. It's just some other stages that I was trying to think of. Traffic Jam from Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. That could be something. See how they did it like that? It doesn't have to be a bus, but it just, you can see the city and the setting in the background, and it fits. It's gonna look nice. They got every single stage in the game is well made. Every stage in the game is well made, and I like how they designed them. But that's the thing. That's one of the stages I was thinking about that they can possibly add and they can be able to implement. This is the main setting. It's the main setting where there's all sorts of robots and monsters inside. There's some monsters that look just like Monster, but they're a different color. There's other robots in the show, in this particular setting, that are different, and they're made of different parts. But they have different variety of robots and monsters in the background, so they'll be able to stand out, and they can be perfect background characters that can be able to appear. Even some of the bosses, I say, Robot's boss, Gart, he could be a background character, but I did something else different with him, which you guys are going to find out about in a little bit. Some of those characters can appear in the background for this stage, and I think it'll be very well made with the Blinking Lights factor. There's no other stages that will definitely be able to come out with these characters as a duo for a paid DLC. This stage is more ideal for them. Now it's time for the alternate costumes. At first, I had some trouble trying to come up with some themes for the costumes because I was just going to settle with color variations because I could not find anything. And to be open and honest, some of the costumes don't seem to be all that great because it reminds me of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Because the first All-Star Brawl had hats. What could I use for example? Let's use, Lucy Loud. Let's use SpongeBob with the drinking hat. Things like that, which is cool. But some of the costumes that y'all about to find out, I separated them. Robot and Monster is going to have their separate costumes as well, so people can be able to read through them within the description. I'm going to start with Robot's costumes. So the one thing that I want to say that stood out, that's going to really sound a little bit plain, when you go and watch this, there's no real actual costumes to change their complete look. They're wearing a different hat. They're wearing something that's different, that could be different that's something that's on their neck, like a tie or a hat. That's the only thing that's going to be different for the costumes. So it's going to almost feel like the first game where it was just hats and very minimum costumes, because Robot Monsters doesn't really have too much of anything that really stands out for different costumes. So I really tried my best with these of what I could find, and I got the episode references as well. But let's just get into them right now. Let's start with Robot. And one thing I did with Robot's boss, he works for his boss, which is his older brother Gart. And Gart is the main antagonist in the show, because he's the supervisor and he watches their every move. And they all work in the blinking lights factory with their creations and inventions and things like that. So I gave Robot the Gart Default, that's his name, Gart Default and Robot Default. But Robot's bro is basically older brother is Gart Default, which is an ideal costume. That's the best costume I could really give him, because I just didn't want to sell it with color variations. I like just using Ember for example. And then also, let's just use Reptar too. Color variations like this is something else that could possibly be something that's going to be ideal for him. So I gave Robot his Gart costume because I thought that could be something that'll be unique. He's the supervisor and older brother of Robot, so I think he could fit as a great costume for players to purchase as a bonus. So if you buy the DLC, this is an idea for the developers. If you buy the DLC for Robot and Monster, you can get the Gart Default costume as a bonus. Almost thinking and cutting it close to how similar to what they did with the pre-order bonus with the elastic waistband. Once you pre-order the game, you can be able to get the costume. He was only a pre-order exclusive bonus. Now if you buy the Robot and Monster DLC, you can get the Gart Default or the Gart Robot costume free of charge. So that's some kind of idea for them to be able to put together for just one of his costumes. So just doing some more research and just trying to find out what else that I could go with. I picked the Baconmas. This is the Christmas special. This is the only Christmas special that they had for this game. I don't want to say for this game, but for the show. The Baconmas was the Christmas special. The Christmas special episode for Robot Monster. This was the only one. So the Baconmas hats, I did that. I get that for Robot and also Monster. But we're going to get into Monster's costume soon. The Baconmas hats is the hats that they wore in celebration. This was the Christmas episode for the show, which was Baconmas. So they'll say Baconmas for the hats, things like that. And then Monster also had one too, but they didn't have any Christmas. They didn't even have any Christmas costumes. They just had the Christmas hats. What they were, just to talk about it a little bit more in detail. The Baconmas hats. The hats feature a Christmas tree decorated with bacon. So that's something that it's silly, but this is more ideal in their bacon lovers too. So it's more ideal to pay tribute to their love for bacon, and I did more with it to create it for their movesets too. So y'all get to find that out soon. But the Baconmas Christmas Special episode is how I got this and where I came up with this. This is just another costume. See what I'm talking about? It's like they don't really have much of costumes that can change their complete full look. It's just hats. It's hat wear. It's just minor changes. The next costume, I selected from the Misery Day episode, where Robot wears a black bow tie and a bowl hat to the school dance date with Globitha. Globitha is Monster's sister and one of his siblings. I think is his only sibling in the show. So this is just another minor costume where Robot's just gonna wear a black bow tie and a bow hat of the same color, which is what he wore to the school dance. But it didn't really change his look like that. And then the final costume idea was the color variations for Robot. And if anybody else got any ideal costumes that they wore from the show that I missed, you can also chime in the comments and share your ideas as well. But I just did not find anything else. There was nothing else from the show that I did find that stood out as ideal costumes. And I did the Gart idea, I think that would be the better idea for them, to give him something different to completely change his look. But nothing else was really different outside of just a hat. See, I almost forgot about Reptar. He got a top hat. But that's just going to be the case when it comes to these characters for costumes, unless they do something different. Change the color of his body. Maybe his eyes could be a little different color because he has yellow eyes. His eyes could be different with his body, to change his robotic body for different color variations or color palette swaps. Let's get to monsters costumes. So, same scenario. I went with the sleeping hat. I went with the sleeping hat from the anger management episode, and this episode was perfect to help me develop ideas for how Monster can play. So the sleeping hat was a costume, one of his first costumes I ended up going with. He wore this during his sleep rage, where he couldn't sleep. He had trouble sleeping, and he was roaming the streets and causing all types of chaos and destruction. You guys definitely got to check this out. It definitely shows how powerful and dangerous he can be from the anger management episode, when Monster had trouble sleeping. The next episode, or the next episode that I ended up referencing, the Misery Date episode again. So this was when Monster decided to be the party police at the school dance. So anyone that wasn't smiling, he was going to take them away and eliminate them from the dance floor and remove them accordingly. So I selected his party police officer. He says, it's just, even when you go and watch the clip as well, he said, "Party police officer Monster here. I don't see you smiling." So if anytime he sees anybody he saw that wasn't smiling, wasn't happy, he would take them away because he wanted the school dance to be the best for his sister. So I selected the party police officer Monster for a costume. I think this was the closest thing. He had a police hat on. That was it. And then his with his little notepad, things like that. But see what I'm talking about? Just again, it didn't really change his full look. He just had a police officer's hat, just monitoring and patrolling the school dance, the school grounds, to make sure everybody was dancing, to make sure everybody was having fun and full of joy. But it was only the hat that was the difference. That was the only thing that got changed. So his party police officer Monster outfit or costume, he can basically wear for a hat. That's something that he can wear. And then, just again, similar to the idea selected for Robot, the Baconmas hats. Robot wears his Baconmas hats in celebration, so it's only natural that Monster can also have his. So this hat features the Christmas tree decorated with bacon. So they both had the same hat for the Christmas special episode when they were hanging out with each other's families. The Robot family and Monster family were able to hang out and celebrate for this holiday. And then just again, color variations to finish up the costumes. So that's something that I ended up selecting. And the one thing that stood out to me was the fact that one of the monsters was blue. So that might be an ideal color they'll probably end up picking for Monster as an idea. He'll turn blue, they can go with blue or just some other colors, just for example. Just something like that. But there's no other costumes I can find. But just from those episodes that y'all can check out if y'all want to watch them, even they have the clips out there here on YouTube, you guys can be able to find out and see what they wear as well. So just unfortunately, I don't think Robot and Monster probably will have the best costumes in this game, because it's just going to be like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, the first game all over again with just hats. But there's nothing else because it just didn't last that long for the series. But let's move on to the taunts and animations, and you guys can also mention other costumes if you find any, or maybe I missed out on some, or maybe some other ideas that y'all can share. The costumes gave me the most trouble with this duo, but those are the best ones that I can find that I think the developers could probably pick. But the color variations probably won't end up looking better than the hats. Taunts and animations, let's jump into these. The taunts, I have the episode reference from the First Impressions episode, a confidence handshake, something that they can do as a duo. And something that I like is that Ren and Stimpy do their taunts together. in sync, but Daggett and Norbert don't. They're not in sync, and they don't taunt together because you have to switch between the beavers in play, and whichever beaver that you have in play does different things. Like Daggett will do a dance, and then they have that same sign. They have the same the laughing sign, but they have different taunts depending on who you have active on the battlefield between Norbert and Daggett. But that's where I wanted to really make this duo shine, to have them in sync with their taunts and their animations, like Ren and Stimpy are. So a confidence handshake that I think they could do, like they do in the First Impressions episode, Robot and Monster can show their confidence on the battlefield and settle their differences with a nice handshake, because in this show, not all the robots and monsters get along well. Not every robot gets along with the monsters. Not every monster gets along with the robots very well because of their differences. So it's just fortunate that Robot Default and Monster himself are the perfect duo. They're perfectly in sync, and they're best friends. So this will be a cool nice little victory, sort of a taunt, or a taunt that you can do on a battlefield. Another ideal taunt that I came up with, strange invention, like a little strange invention explosion. The strange invention can go boom. So this could be an ideal funny taunt, because every invention that Robot built in this show, most of them exploded and something usually went wrong. So he can probably place a random invention, one of his little strange machines. I got this from the intro. That's where I got it from. The little intro thing for the animation, because it shows them trying to put together an invention and it explodes. That could be something that they can probably implement as an ideal taunt for him to use, and for them to utilize and have that explosion. Maybe it can do some secret damage. See how they did, remember how they did those secret taunts, where some of the taunts like Danny Phantom, those different alternate taunts that they added from the first game? Not every character got them, unfortunately, but it could be a secret taunt that can cause some explosions and secretly inflict damage on the character, on the fighter, if they get too close. And I think this strange invention taunt could be something that the developers can implement as a secret, or something that you can cause damage on your opponent with the strange invention exploding. Now, their pet Marv, I wanted to also give him a little bit of a spotlight, because he's a special pet. The fans out there who watched everything, that's all things Robot and Monster, really love Marv as a favorite character from the show, and memorable. I made Marv into a taunt, as well as some other things and ideas I came up with. I gave Marv a stage appearance, so he'll be able to come out as a special taunt and say Marv, since fans love him. He's a lovable character that everybody likes to see from the show. He's a likable character that everybody likes from the show, and one of the fan favorites. So I wanted to give him something, just something special, for some kind of spotlight. So it's not just all things Robot and Monster. He'll also be able to come out as a additional taunt, because I think these characters have 3 different taunts. So I thought that'll be another cool idea for him to be part of a taunt, and he can come out for a little bit, and Robot and Monster can play with Marv, their pet, on the battlefield. I did do something else with him though, so that's not something else I wanted to do with him for the moveset. I'm gonna get into that soon. Let's get into the winning and losing animation. A winning animation, bacon time, where Robot and Monster's favorite food, they can have bacon in the winner circle, and they love bacon. It's their favorite food from the entire, I don't think there's any, Patrick doesn't even eat anything in the, after winning a match. So Robot and Monster can be the ones to open up that door. It was Garfield. I think it was Garfield. He's the one who eats during one of his winning animations. I think it was him. But Robot and Monster would just be feasting on bacon. So with the bacon time animation, they can celebrate and eat their favorite food, because they both love it. That's something that they have in common. They both love bacon, and you can see this in the show. And I got the clip as well for the video, if I can post it up into the description that y'all be able to see. They can eat up a pile of bacon together. It's the perfect winning animation for this duo. A losing animation, they could be sad and broken, where Monster can be the one that's sad and Robot is going to be shattered into pieces, brokenhearted, completely broken into pieces. So Robot and Monster will become sad and heartbroken after defeat. Robot could be flat out on the ground, shattered with nuts and bolts across the ground, while Monster is sad with his horns down. The horns of Monster represent how he's feeling. When the horns are up, Monster is happy, and when the horns are down and tilted down and pointed down, that's when he's not feeling the best and he's sad. So I think that animation is definitely more ideal for them together as a duo. When they win together, they eat together, and when they lose together, they'll be sad and broken. So that's something that I thought would be a perfect winning and losing animation. Can't say that winning animation is not perfect for them, because they love bacon so much. They'll definitely want to celebrate after a hard fight on the battlefield with some bacon as the winners. It's perfect for them. That's the winning and losing animation and the taunts. I hope y'all like them, especially for this particular request. I had a lot of fun with it. Now the toughest part for me is just the move set. This is the final part, and I always save it for last. I gave Robot and Monster their separate moves, while I also gave them a set of duo techniques, which are going to be shared in attacks that'll be perfectly in sync, where they'll be able to attack together, almost like how Ren and Stimpy do with this duo. But the question is, are they going to be able to get it in the game? How are they going to really be able to be implemented? There's nobody out there who has put a video together as far as a moveset of how they can really play, and I wanted to definitely put this together to make this as great as possible, because they're a fan favorite and they're wanted for this game as newcomers, new DLC, new characters, and new fighters in a new series that people want to see. So let's start with Robot's moves first, and we'll finish with Monster's last. We're going to do Robot's moves first, and then we'll move on to the duos, to the duo or the shared techniques. I'll just say duo techniques that they use, and then we'll finish with Monster's moves, and then we'll talk about the Ultimate and Super. So let's start with Robot's moves. His first move, I call it Robot Goes Boom. Robot blows out red steam from his head, and his eyes pop, and his body creates a fire explosion that can knock back nearby opponents. And I got it from the Scam Town episode when Monster accidentally spent all the money that they had saved and gave it away to a complete stranger. It was the rent money that they had for their apartment, and Monster was so goofy and silly, he gave the money away completely to a person that he did not even know, a complete stranger. It was funny to see it. So that's how I came up with this idea, and that's why Robot was losing his cool. I think this would be a nice move for him. Now, with Robot being the inventor, with his passion and wanting to complete his goal of being the greatest inventor, he can showcase that on the battlefield with his inventions. And the character I was thinking about is April O'Neil with her camera. So I gave Robot 2 different inventions that actually worked successfully in the show. These were 2 successful inventions that Robot made out of everything else in the show, and I wanted to implement them as part of his moveset and to make him dangerous. Now, the first invention is called the anti-gravity machine. This invention will be able to stop fighters in their tracks and launch them into the sky and cause them to spin for a limited amount of time. You see how April can place only 1 camera at a time? The developers can do the same thing as far as Robot's inventions. You will not be able to place and put 2 inventions in play on the battlefield. You'll only be able to place and play 1 invention at a time. And they can probably make a little different selection, maybe on the bottom of the screen from this character window, similar to how they have the meters with Reptar, and April also has a meter, not to mention who's on the screen. She has her own meter. So she can be able to post. So robot can have two different sort of pictures to show which invention he's going to have in play, and that way the opponent also knows which invention he's going to have in play to really be able to bring out actively when he or she wants to bring it out, so they can be able to switch freely if they want to while the fight goes on. So that way it's not a real surprise. They'll be able to be ready for whatever they'll be ready for the anti-gravity machine, and then his next invention, the disintegration ray. So the anti-gravity machine and the disintegration ray are going to be two different inventions that are actually real from the show, and I wanted to bring them to life into this moveset for this request, and I thought they would be ideal. So with the disintegration ray, this is yet another invention that can be placed on the battlefield, and it will fire automatically at nearby players. So just like I mentioned before, only one of robot's inventions can be used at a time, and they can be able to showcase which one. They can have them highlighted to show which invention is going to be in play. His next move, I gave him extension punches. So a little bit, not just relying on his inventions, I wanted to give him a little bit of force and a little bit of some offense. So his extension punches, I came up with this move because Robot is able to expand his legs and his body in the show, that you can be able to see when you watch this show. They were even able to get over a giant brick wall because Robot stretched his whole legs and carried Monster over his shoulders to be over his body to help him over the wall. So it shows that he has that range and that flexibility. So with his extension punches, Robot's going to be able to expand his legs and his body for a massive range attack, and he can attack enemies from far away with his extension punches. So just if Monster can't get to him, Robot will definitely be able to get to you and reach you, and especially he can set you up with some of his inventions that's already going to be active on the field, so it can be able to be utilized to trap the opponent. That you can get away from the inventions, you won't be able to get away from his range. So you might be able to dodge the inventions and avoid them, but Robot's going to have some good range. So let's move on to the duo abilities. So that's just Robot's base kit, and I definitely think his adventures are definitely going to make him even more dangerous, and I think I think that's going to make where he shines the most on the battlefield. Let's move on to the duo abilities. So this is these are techniques that they're going to be able to do together, and then we're going to get into Monster's abilities to finish. So the duo abilities, I call this one bacon for everyone. Their own projectile attack. Of course, they wanted to have them throw some bacon at the opponents and utilize that outside of just their taunts. Robot Monster can constantly throw pieces of bacon simultaneously, no matter who is active on the field. So they'll be able to throw the pieces of bacon at the opponents, no matter who's in play. Maybe Garfield might even like some. Never know. But just imagine their unique reactions. They could probably do something with some of these characters. So a bacon projectile attack that they'll be able to throw simultaneously together when you press the button from the button prompt for whatever your projectile attack button will be. Now, Robot and Monster, I gave them a duo summoning, so they'll be able to bring Marth. I wanted to bring Marth into their move set completely, so both Robot and Monster will be able to bring out Marth at any time, just like how I was gonna say Rocky, just like how Rocco can bring out Spunky on the field as a summon, and then Garfield still has his favorite toy that carried over from the first game. So Marth is going to be more dangerous than Spunky, and they will also be able to call him back and have him reverse. But I wanted to give Marth a mind of his own instead of manual control to make him different from Spunky. So they'll be able to summon their pet Marth from the show. Marth is dangerous and vicious in the show, as quiet as he seems. When he says one line, Marth, that's all he says. But you don't want to underestimate him, because he even tried attacking. He even attacked Robot and Monster and blasted them with that disintegration ray. So Marth would definitely be a good ideal duo technique where they both will be able to bring out and call upon Marth for some extra help on the battlefield. And Marth having a mind of his own as an AI to be able to attack without having to worry about manual control, it's going to make him even more dangerous with this duo for robot and monster. Now, the last but not least, the recovery move. This is just wrapping up the duo abilities because we're about to get into monsters abilities next. I gave them a recovery move, a different character in the show that I got to know, Spitfire, who's friends and the best friends of JD, who is a crush of Robot and Monster from the show. They have a secret crush on JD, but her friend is Spitfire. And I wanted to use like Spitfire as a recovery move where Robot and Monster can catch a ride from Spitfire, who could perform a huge jump stunt to save Robot and Monster. And I got this from the Biker Girls episode. Y'all can be able to check it out in the clip too and look it up. Just even type in the Robot and Monster daring stunts, which you can see from the clip. Spitfire would definitely be able to help out Robot and Monster for a nice little recovery move, which seems more ideal. And it would be nice to see that character get implemented as a recovery move and to pull off a nice little stunt. Spitfire is just a daredevil, and that's the kind of character she is. So I thought using Spitfire as a nice hitching a ride from Spitfire would be a nice cool recovery for fans to like from the series. Now let's start talking about monsters moves to wrap up this move set in this full request. Monster has a temper that's bottled in, and he keeps it. So I wanted to make him as dangerous as possible. I started this first move with his anger tornado, and he went off in the anger management episode when he yelled at the customer, at the service, when he didn't get I forgot what it was, when he didn't get what he ordered at the restaurant for the bacon represent, or making bacon. That's what the name of the place was. Monster can be able to release all his anger, and Monster can yell, creating a wind force to push away all the enemies in his way. And it made me think of Rocco a little bit when he says, "You're fired," but it's going to be something better than that. This move can deal damage per second, similar to how April's camera works with the button input, but I wanted to give it a different variation and upgrade it, so it'll be so much more better. It'll be way better and more powerful than April's camera. So with his anger tornado, the more he yells, the greater the damage. And while you hold this button down, he's going to be able to inflict more damage over time. So that's going to be one of his best moves. I think a lot of players will be able to use, and you can even use it for some of the. I just thought about it as a competitive standpoint. You can even use this move, his anger tornado, to edge guard and keep your opponents from getting back on the stage. So someone that probably doesn't have the best recovery, they're guaranteed not to make it because that tornado is going to be constantly pushing them back. They're definitely going to have to make sure they have some slime in there, just have at least one bar of slime to be able to increase their chances of getting back onto the stage successfully. But a regular recovery will not be able to stop, will not save you from his anger tornado. So this is something I came up with, and you guys can definitely see this. I definitely want to try to see if I can get the clip posted as well, so y'all can be able to see how I came up with it. His next move is called Rampage, where Monster charges forward full screen with Robot riding on his back, knocking away opponents with his horns. So it's a nice little horn charge. Something different from Rocksteady's little shoulder tackle that he has. It's going to be something similar to that, but Monster's going to have more range, and he's going to be able to go full screen. And he's going to charge into you with his horns. See how I came up with that? You guys can also see that in the anger management episode as well. When he really starts losing his temper, he just goes crazy. And it was the sleep rage as well. When he had the sleep rage, he was just charging into everything, hitting people with street poles. He was going wild. His next move I selected, Tongue Tie, because Monster's long tongue can help pull further enemies towards him and attack, and it'll help you create those combos and be able to deal damage. So his taunt type move will go with this next move, the monstrous combo, where a monster strikes the enemy with a series of punches, and then he finishes with a powerful jab, similar to what he does when he had that sleep rage. He punched. It just shows how he has super strength, and I think he destroyed a car. I think it was. He destroyed a full-on car. He pulled up a street pole and just started destroying things. He even destroyed a robot and broke him in half and shattered him into pieces. And he was even attacking innocent people in the city. So this will definitely go well with his monstrous combo. So with his long time, he could probably be able to also attack you while also being able to pull you in to build. So you won't be able to escape monsters. So he has range of his own because of his giant tongue and things like that. So it's going to help him be able to create those combos. Outside of robot having a range of his own, I wanted to give him something too. And you can see him use it in Monster's tongue in the show, even when as a ladder. But I didn't want to have that to be a recovery move, so that's why I turned it into an attack instead. His next move, a spinning throw, almost gives you like the Mario, when Mario's spinning Bowser around. He does something like this in the show also. It references the show. So Monster gains super armor while grabbing any nearby enemy and spins them around in a circle, tossing them into the air. I thought about Patrick because he's a grappler in this game. He has way more techniques and things like that he can use. So he's much more of a grappler than what he was in the first game, and I think this will be very helpful for him. And I think this move is going to be awesome, even more dangerous because he gets super armor. Monster's going to get that super armor while grabbing any sort of nearby enemy, and then he'll just be able to toss you right into the air. So it'll be a little bit better than what Patrick does. It's still just as dangerous, but he's going to be able to toss you into the air, and while he's spinning the enemy, he can hit anybody that's near you. So it's going to be good for crowd control also, for a player free-for-all, or maybe 2v2s for teams. So if the enemy teammate tries to run up and try to save their partner, they can get hit in the process as well. I wanted to change something a little bit because I think I had a typo just real fast. But this spinning throw is something I definitely think is one of my personal favorite moves that I wanted to give him. Okay, so the final move is the super attack, and also I like giving every single character ever since this game came out. I started continuing this series. Every character is going to have an ultimate technique, an ultimate move, or super, as they say. His super attack, or their super, or their ultimate, I called it chaos and success. Robots' craziest inventions start to randomly spawn on the field and explode. Marth also gets loose, hunting down any nearby opponent, and he gets to stay out during the whole duration of the slime meter without any exceptions. And then Monster also loses his cool and can bulldoze through everything and everyone until the slime meter is empty. So not only you're going to have to worry about Robot and Monster, but you're going to also have to worry about you're also going to be concerned about Marth, who's going to go on a complete tear and is going to be able to be completely controlled by himself. So he's going to be able to take care of those other enemies and those other players that are going to be trying to escape Robot and Monster. But Marth is going to be the biggest, the ace, because he's going to be moving faster, and all three of these characters are going to be after you. And so no matter who you have after, Robots' adventures are already going to be spawning, exploding all over the place, things like that. And Monster's going to be able to run right through you, just like a raging monster without any control whatsoever. And then you got Marth already going wild on the battlefield. So I thought this would be a perfect super for them. And if some people's trying to make references, you could probably almost think about Nez and Lucas from Earthbound. Remember when they called it the PK Starstorm? It could be Robots' inventions could be the Starstorm, basically, with all those inventions coming out and spawning and exploding all over the place. You can even think of Princess Peach if you want to in the mix. It's so many different characters that it can, some people probably be able to think of to reference for the Super. But I wanted something to make them really go crazy. Because Monster's going to be the one going chaos, spreading the chaos. Monster and Mark are going to be the ones doing, spreading the chaos. And then the success is all the different inventions that Robot was able to successfully create, but they're going to explode and spawn. So it's going to be so much to watch out for. I think this will be one of the best supers in the game. So I wanted to be really creative with it, and also wanted to give Mark that little extra spotlight outside of just being included in the taunt. He's going to be part of their moveset and the super as well. So he's going to be someone you want to watch out for. He's going to be super small, but he's fast, just like he is in the show. They could not catch him, and even when they need something from him, they try to catch him. They can't catch him and keep up with him because he's so quick. He's just a boss. He's just a block of steel with wheels, but he's just going to be just as dangerous. And I wanted to give him that proper spotlight because he's part of them. He's part of their duo, and he's a treasured character and a beloved character from the series. But that's everything that I could come up with for Robot Monster. I had so much fun creating him. I might bring this out this weekend, just being open, because it's a Friday. It's gonna be, you guys should probably see this on a Friday, since it's Thursday now. Just in case I don't stream, this will probably come out a little bit earlier than I anticipated. But I definitely had fun putting this together. I thought it crashed because I probably had to start over. But they got
All-Star Brawl 2.
They got a lot of characters that they can bring into this game, and it's so messed up that the servers for the online is not even working now again. This is the second time it's happened. But it's not about the online. But we gotta get some things. We gotta get more stuff for the characters and more new stages and Robot and Monster getting into this game. Just imagine this guy says New Game Plus is here. Robot and Monster is here. A brand new duo is here to cause trouble. They will definitely be a nice characters. I hope they get into the game. Maybe in some kind of Nickelodeon crossover. I would like to see them make their way in. This game doesn't have many duos. It's only 2 duos. That's ideal. Ren and Stimpy and Avery Beavers. They have a lot of characters that they can add into this game, and they can get more into the single player. They can boost up more of these modes, and they can be playable characters to be alongside of these characters that they have and be able to meet them. Unique interactions. I would definitely love to see what Jimmy Neutron says to Robot Monster. He could definitely be helpful to them, and even though not every character has unique reactions in this game, they have to be from the same series, of course. But it'll be awesome to see them be able to encounter each other in this game. Robot Monster is definitely a great show. I enjoy watching it, and I'm just a new viewer. I'm a new viewer to the series and to the show. I'm definitely going to check out more of the show. They're not going to be separate characters. It's called Robot Monster. They definitely are going to be a duo characters for sure. And I think they'll definitely be one of the best characters. And I think they will sell well, most importantly. They will sell well, not only because they're a new series, but a lot of people like this show. And these characters are very well liked. And they're requested for the fan polls. That's why, not even just for the fan polls, but just for the series, it came up as a request. So I had a blast putting them together. Let me know what you guys think of the ideas. The descriptions should be updated within a matter of seconds, so y'all can check out the movesets. I'm going to try to drop as many clips as y'all want to see, if I can fit them all into the description of how I came up with things I want that I did for the characters, and even some of their movesets.